I'm Stephen Thompson for On the Spot, and we're here at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for the first annual 2011 African American Summit at FEMA, looking at disaster preparedness, emergency management, and the such. All right, gentlemen, I'm Steve Thompson for On the Spot. We want to know, we're here at the 2011 African American Summit at FEMA. Tell us your understanding of what this is about and what you were trying to do. Brother Barry, give us your full name and tell us what your association is.
I'm Brother Barry Crumbly. I'm with the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association, as well as Intact Community Development Corporation, and I am a government liaison for the American Red Cross in Greater New York. Down here with my colleagues, partners, and friends, Brother Eitan Edwards and Brother Rudolph Muhammad, for this preparedness summit. We're actually coming here to primarily observe and hear what FEMA has to say to the larger community of African Americans in leadership relative to preparedness. After our observations and keeping our mouths shut for a little while, then we'll make comments to FEMA, about FEMA, to our community, and give as much advice as we can on preparedness from our perspective.
Okay, thank you. Brother Eitan, as a person who's been a veteran in emergency management, preparedness, understanding of community sensitivity, what's your perspective on the ground level, what needs to be done immediately?
I think that the communities have to, first of all, recognize the dangers that they're in regards to our safety relative to when disasters strike, because we are particularly vulnerable because we're completely dependent upon the system just to maintain ourselves in practically every way. So that's the first thing. The community has to know that we need to be protected, and we've got to know if that's the case, then the mechanisms that do exist, we've got to identify those mechanisms, and we've got to learn how to work with them. And so we're down here to check this out, see where FEMA's at. Obviously, we hope that it's in a different place than it was during the Bush administration with, you remember the Katrina situation, and we're hopeful. I mean, we're hopeful, but we're also prepared to, if things aren't in the ways that we think that they should be, then we have to be prepared to do for ourselves. And so we've got a great team, got Barry, got Brother Rudolph here, and I think that whether or not they've got themselves together, whether or not they have their acts together, hopefully they do, but if not, then we're just ready to go back to New York and get some work done and get our community prepared.
Okay. And in the idea of being ready, Brother Rudy, EMS, trained, certified, in our community, talk about what's necessary on the ground if there's a disaster tomorrow.
Ooh, well, if there's a disaster tomorrow, that means I shouldn't be here talking to you now. I need to be there training the people.
Right.
But every resident of the community needs to be, at the basic level, trained in CPR and basic first aid so that they can kind of hold the line, because calling 911 during a disaster is a waste of time. The resources are not going to be there. And if you're not prepared to take care of you and your family, then you're going to be a victim to whatever is going on. So where the emergency medical service or medical needs in particular are concerned, we have to be self-sustaining during this time. And so we need to teach the people what they need to know. And then in different communities, we need to set up even little mini hospitals, mini emergency rooms in people's houses if necessary, because that's where the medical care is going to come from.
Okay, so what we're going to do is go and see what exactly FEMA has to talk about and see what these brothers are talking about, if in fact it's the real deal. Steve Thompson for On the Spot.